So we're recording over there. There's some audio. I don't know. I'll record something after class so you guys know what we did. Okay. Are you ready? Something like that. I think it exploded. It's still working, but same thing happened yesterday. I can't connect I couldn't share my screen. And then when I can, I'll let you guys know so you can go back to the recording. I can't share my screen. I can't share anything. I can't turn on my camera. Okay, let's go. All right, you're looking at my screen. We're gonna go back to the Gamma writing 2-week something, talking about hamburgers. Are we talking about hamburgers still? Yeah. Here's my hamburger picture from Johannesburger. They put caramelized onions. See, this is the right combination. You have your burger, your bun on top, then you have your hot stuff, then you have your cold stuff. Heat rises. Actually, cold air pushes things, so heat rises. Everything is a lie. Everything you learned is a lie, guys, except for English. Okay. Blah 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 blah. Okay. Sporting. Okay. Blah 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 blah. Concluding sentences. Okay. Include a concluding sentence. It's important. It's important. Okay. What am I talking about? Okay. So effective paragraphs. And we're going to keep practicing this. I'm really going to focus on your paragraphs. Okay, guys? So always include a topic sentence. Make sure that topic sentence is like primo, numero uno. All right, unity. One and only one main idea. So don't talk about hot dogs when you're talking about hamburgers. Okay? You don't put a carrot inside a hot... Anybody put carrots in their hamburgers? No. Good. Anybody put fish? Okay. So you're not going to talk about anything other than hamburgers. And that main idea isn't just about hamburgers. It's about how hamburgers are convenient, right? So you're not going to talk about how expensive hamburgers are. That doesn't fit, right? We're talking about the topic is hamburgers. The controlling idea is called convenience. So we're not going to talk about how expensive they are. Except if convenience, if it's cheap, then it's convenient, right? You can eat it all the time. I don't know. Depends, right? Cohesion. What does that mean? Does anybody know what cohesion mean? Write it in the chat box. Cohesion. It's kind of like the word to glue something, right? So you don't put, like, you always put the cheese on top of the meat. Why? So the cheese melts and it, like, you know, maybe you put it at the bottom of it. I don't know. I like my cheese. I have to check what you're saying. I can't check things quickly. Hold on. I was able to. Sorry, your mic is cutting out. Oh, okay. I got to turn off. I'll turn off the other mic. That's probably why. You're hearing two mics. Can you hear me better now? Am I cutting out? Cohesion. We're talking about cohesion. Okay. Tell me if it cuts out again. Type the same thing. So we had unity. Unity is just one idea, one main idea. You know, the controlling thing, the topic. Hamburgers are convenient, right? Cohesion is kind of like glue. Your voice is lagging. Oh no. Maybe because I am doing 20,000 things at the same time. Maybe I gotta turn off the OBS, guys. I don't think so. I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna turn off Ege Darsh. Ege Darsh. Okay, closing it. Goodbye. Okay, now it's gone. Wait, what? Now it's gone. Dang it, I closed the other thing. You guys, sneaky. Okay, where's my presentation? Cohesion. It's like glue. Okay, how does it stick together well, right? So we have all the good parts, but how do we make it like, right? Hold things together to cohere. Also, like your brain, coherence is like if you understand something, how does it, all the information come together in a good way? The first thing we want to do is the repetition of key nouns. So repeat key nouns. Say the same noun over and over, not all the time, right? But mention it. A lot of times students write an essay and they say hamburger once, and then they just use it. That's fine to use it, the pronoun, but sometimes say hamburger, it, burgers. You know, there's other names for hamburgers, right? Be consistent, okay, with your pronouns. What's going on? Evan, it's okay. Thumbs up. We got the thumbs on this one. Is it okay? Consistent pronouns. Okay, so if everything is singular, use singular. Okay, if everything is plural, try to stick with plural. So if you start with people are always eating hamburgers, you should not eat hamburgers with a knife and a fork. A person who does this will be insulted. He should eat it with his hands. That's not consistent, right? Freezes your video? My goodness. My internet is perfect, guys. What is going on here? I stop OBS. Testing. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Test.
Couldn't we continue without webcam from the Egedars?
Use Egedars. Maybe we don't need screen sharing?
Without webcam, no problem.
Maybe you need to get out of... I don't know. I'll record this and watch it. It's too much. Okay. I'll put it all together. Consistent pronouns. People are always eating hamburgers. You should not eat hamburgers with a knife. Okay. That's inconsistent pronoun use. We want to switch it. This is consistent. So if you go with plural, stick with plural. People are always eating hamburgers. They should not eat hamburgers with a knife and fork. People who do this will be insulted. They should eat it with his hands. Third persons. Bob, I made a mistake. It should be their hands, sorry. Big problems. Everything's a problem today. But it's okay. All right. Sorry. So they should eat it with their hands. Whoops. My mistake. I'll fix that. Third person pronoun, plural. It's probably the best for academic writing. So practice using they, people, things like that. Many people, right? It's just more academic when you're talking about lots of people. You, if it was like you are always eating hamburgers, you should not eat hamburgers with a knife. You, if you do this, you would be insulted. You should eat it with your hands. That sounds more like advice. It's a different type of writing, different purpose for writing, right? But when we're talking about like research, when we're talking about academic writing, we want to talk about, we're generalizing. We're talking about all people or many people or a percentage of people, some people, right? Stick with people. People, it's always good. Cohesion also includes transition signals, okay? Additional ideas. So in addition, furthermore, moreover, besides, also, to, and anything with sequencing, first, next, finally, last, right? So these transition signals, these linking words, as you call them, they stick everything together better. So your hamburger doesn't just like pick it up and poof, everything falls out. I think that's the worst thing when you eat a hamburger and it just falls to the ground. Contrast. On the other hand, in contrast, however, nevertheless, instead, but, yet, although, blah, 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 right? Opposite ideas. Restatements, in fact, indeed, that is. Example, for instance, an example of, such as. Conclusion, in conclusion, in short, in summary. Anything with results, accordingly, as a result, therefore, consequently, thus so. Okay. We use these transition signals. You need to start practicing using them, especially for things like cause and effect. But these things hold it together. Cohesion, to cohere, to stick together. Is it still work? Is it still broken, guys? Is it still broken? I have to look on my Google. Do you hear the sounds? It is coming. I can't hear you. Oh my gosh. Can you hear me now? Oh, you can. Some people can. Some people can't. Oh my gosh. Life. I can't share my screen still on Egedar. So that's a problem. Can't really teach like that. There's got to be something. Okay. Back to work. Okay. So similar pronouns, repeating the nouns, like hamburger, use that as many times as you can. Transition signals, all of those linking words, I'll change it. I think you guys used the term linking words. So all of those types of words. Cohesion. And don't use too many transition signals. I see students, they overuse it, okay? So something like this, after you've enjoyed the delicious taste of an avocado, do not throw out the seed. You can grow a beautiful houseplant or even your own tree by following these simple steps. First, wash the seed. Second, dry it. What are you guys saying? Dang it. You're asking about the speed. Third, after that, then, next. It's like too many. And this is a very long paragraph. So don't use too many, okay? It's just way too many, okay? You don't need to like keep, linking words, kind of start changing your ideas and things like that. It's very fast. I'm uploading at 43 KB. That's how fast my... It's slow. Sorry. Egedurs is faster? I mean, more efficient? Is this what we're saying? No. It's 40 KB. I'm uploading. I have fiber. It's not my problem. Somebody else though. It's slow. 80 is slow. KB. Yeah. I guess let me stop sharing. Let me see what my upload looks like when I slow down. Or I could turn off my camera. I don't need the camera. And it goes to 13. Ooh, 9. Okay. Arda, can you hear me now? I'm monitoring my upload speeds. It just slowed down. No camera. You okay with that?
Are you sure it's fever?
Arda, you can hear me?
Yes.
Can I hear me? Can I hear
Yes,
you?
I can.
I think so. The other Arda Khan. You can hear. Good.
I'm listening.
So yeah,
Can you
by
hear us?
turning off my video, it's slow. It's not uploading so much data. I'm at like 14. I cannot hear you. Wait, are you talking? Arda, I didn't hear you. Dang it.
Okay, no problem. Now.
Wait, I can hear you. Talk again. Can almost hear you.
Do you hear now?
I hear you. Keep talking. Like
Okay.
sing a song for me. Like sing a song.
Okay, I'll keep that.
Oh.
If there is a fever, no problem, sir.
Huh? Everything's okay?
Yes.
Okay. Some people I know. Yes, I will. So every week I will send. Did I do that this week? Every week after the class, actually, I will post all of the materials so you can see them. I didn't do that for reading, but I'll do that later. Let me close. Why is this here? Okay.
Bu hamburgerciyi kim söyledi lan?
What? Yes, I can send. I'll make another video explaining this. You could watch the video like 1,000 times. Yeah, don't worry. There's lots of stuff I'll make. Okay. And yeah, these are presentations I made years ago. Logical order. This is important, okay? So you need the things that stick together, like the cheese and the sauce makes everything not fall apart. That's cohesion, holding together, right? But you need to put this in the right order. I keep talking about this for hamburgers. So you can order things chronologically, from the first to the last. You can also sequence things in different parts. We're going to talk about this in week 6. What do they call this? The division and classification essays. Okay. So all the vegetables should be together. All the meat and proteins should be together. And then the condiments, the sauces should be like together, maybe, right? Sometimes. Maybe. And then we have other different ways, comparing, contrasting. Those are different types of essays that we'll look at. But yeah, you need a logical order for what you're talking about in a paragraph. Okay, so to review, good paragraphs have a well-written topic sentence that is specific enough, supporting sentences that includes opinions, facts, quotations, and statistics to support the topic. Sorry, I have to make sure I'm recording. on the DERS. It is recording. Great. I do have to turn on my audio. Otherwise, nobody hears me. Anyways. This is awful. Okay. Well-written topic sentence that is specific enough. Not too specific. Not too general. Okay, I'm always going to repeat this. Not too specific, not too general, specific enough. That's what you want in life. Somewhere in the middle, guys. Okay. Supporting sentences that include opinions, facts, quotations, and statistics to support that topic. A concluding sentence to rephrase the topic sentence or summarize the paragraph and or transition to the next paragraph. The and or is you should always transition to your next idea somehow. You know, you just give your reader some kind of clue, some kind of evidence. Unity, one idea, and cohesion, connection, right? Unity. I think that one you guys think you know you're doing, but sometimes you just include one sentence that doesn't belong. Okay? And cohesion. What does cohesion mean? It is how you connect things. So use the main noun. If you're talking about hamburgers, use that more than once. I see people write and they say hamburger in the first sentence and they never mention hamburger again. I know your teachers tell you to use pronouns. That's fine, but you can switch between pronoun to the noun, back to the pronoun, you know. Get kind of artistic, you know. You're not painting with just one brush. You have different size brushes. You know, you're an artist. I don't know why I'm moving my hands. You can't see me anyways, but there. You're an artist with words. Okay. Use consistent pronouns. Okay. And that means if you're going to use third person singular, you use he, she, it the whole time when you're describing the person you're talking to. If you use second person, it sounds like advice or very personal. So stay away from that in academic writing. I'd say the best one is the third person plural. Anything about people, they, those kind of things. Keep it consistent. Don't switch back and forth. You should do this. They do this. He does this. Stick to one thing when you're talking to an audience. Okay. Every essay, every writing has an audience, right? Sometimes you write a note to your mother. Sometimes your mother writes a note to you. Sometimes you write to your professor. Sometimes you write in an essay, maybe to all the students at the university. Maybe you're writing to all students. Maybe you're writing to every human being on the earth, okay? And when you write like that, you have to kind of use these bigger pronouns. They, people, you know, all the people in the world, something like that. You guys got it? Okay. I think that's it. Any questions, comments? We're not finished, but we're finished with this. Any comments? Can you guys see me? Can you hear me? Okay. I got a thumbs up. Yeah. So we'll continue to talk about this. I will share these slides, and I'll share the ones from reading as well. I forgot to do that. Sorry. But yeah, every week on Google Classroom, it's just easier for me to share on there because I can do Google Drive, all of that. So yeah, and then I'll make a video. I'll share it on YouTube or something, but I'll make a video about what I just talked about so you can watch it many times. I'll give examples as well, so I'll go through it and I'll practice writing an essay. Don't judge me. But yeah, so I'll give you lots of examples. I think that's how you become a good writer. you see good examples, you read good examples of what you're going to write. You don't copy it because you're going to write a different topic. But by doing that, you're you're able to see and remember what good writing is. Okay? If you don't read anything, you'll never know what good writing is. And if you're reading novels that are fiction, you're not going to know how to write like an essay about climate change because it's very different purposes, right? And then finally, the thing that I want you to do in this class is if I give an assignment, you write. I know you don't have to do it, but the more you do it, the more feedback you'll get. Like I'll give you information about what you did right, what you did wrong, right? So the more that you write, the more feedback you'll get. So you understand where your mistakes are, how to improve, and actually how you did really well as well, right? If I say this is a great sentence that explains this idea very well, or hey, that's an amazing topic sentence, right on. You get feedback, okay? And I think normally your teachers don't give you much feedback because they don't require you to do work, and feedback takes a lot of time. This is why teachers hate teaching writing, but that's just the way life works. The hard things take time, they take effort. If you want to be a good student, a good academician, a magician, a researcher, a scientist, whatever field you're studying, I would say that writing is the most important skill for your success as a student. Do you agree with that statement? Because I think if you can write well, it means that you're organized. It means that you put effort, that you sit down, that you put a lot of attention to your work. In order to write well, you also have to read well so you can find information and then use it, right? So writing isn't so important outside of the schools, but in school, it's your main weapon, What do you think? Write it in the box. We're gonna write a quick paragraph together, but we're gonna take not a break. I want you to read an article. So, since the world's falling apart, I think it's important that we talk about some things. And I have some things to share with you. So I want you, my sister helps me find things about these things. I'm going to share an article. You can read this, not right now. It's about coping with grief and loss. And it's an important topic. Even if you haven't experienced it, it's a good idea to know how to talk to people who are experiencing grief. Grief is like the sadness because of loss. Okay, and loss doesn't just mean like a person passing, right? It also means just anything that you lost, even just your face-to-face education. For me, like opportunities to do a presentation in Barton in April because they canceled it. All of those things, sometimes they feel big, sometimes they feel small, sometimes you think that they're big, but they're really small. We don't know, Some people just look at the world differently than other people, okay? But I think it's an important idea to learn how to talk about it, to learn how to help people with it. So what I want you to do is read this article by yourself. I'm going to give you some time to do it. Can I find my online timer? And yeah, stand up, take a stretch break. I'm going to take 10 minutes. Let's do 10 minutes. Read the article. We're going to come back and we're going to try to write a paragraph about it. Okay? just a quick little introductory paragraph. We'll write it together. You can help me. We'll do it in Google Docs. Okay, but go ahead, read that article. Coping with grief and loss, and we'll come back. Got it?
Okay.
Okay, go.
Did you tell me?
Huh?
Did you tell me?
Tell you what. So you're gonna read this. I didn't call you, but you are gonna read this article in like 10 minutes. Stand up, stretch, do whatever you need to do, and then I'll be back at the end of the timer. Peace out. But I'm gonna restart my computer again, see if I fix anything. Bye. All right. Does anybody need more time? We'll just look at it together. All right, so this is from helpguide.org, coping with grief and loss. What does it mean to cope? How to deal with it? All right, I'll just read it really quickly to you guys. If you have any questions or don't understand something, have a vocabulary word, write it in the chat box, or raise your hand or interrupt me, please. Whatever type of loss you've suffered, there's no right or wrong way to grieve. But by understanding the types and stages of grief, you can find healthier ways to cope. So cope is how to deal with it, how to manage it, how to get better, right? If you cope with stress, maybe you do certain things that are good, like exercise. Maybe you do other things that are bad, like, I don't know, watch too much Netflix or drink or other substances. What is grief? Grief is a natural response to loss. Okay, and loss can be kind of anything. It's the emotional suffering you feel when something or someone you love is taken away. That's one type of loss. Often the pain of loss can feel overwhelming. You may experience all kinds of difficult and unexpected emotions, from shock or anger to disbelief, guilt, and profound sadness. Okay, when someone you love is taken away, it doesn't always mean death, right? It could be somebody moved away. Maybe you broke up with your boyfriend, your girlfriend, divorce, things with parents as well. The pain of grief can also disrupt your physical health, making it difficult to eat, sleep, or even think straight. These are normal reactions to loss, and the more significant the loss, the more intense your grief will be. So one of the studies, they show that if you have kind of grief and you feel pain, you actually feel pain from it. And you can actually take like a painkiller and it'll make you feel better, because that's how your body, your brain actually thinks your body is like hurt, Coping with the loss of someone or something you love is one of the biggest challenges. You may associate grieving with the death of a loved one, which is often the cause of most intense type of grief, but any loss can cause grief, including divorce or relationship breakup, loss of health, losing a job, loss of financial stability, a miscarriage. That's when your baby doesn't come out. That's not the word. Retirement, if you stop your job. Death of a pet. Loss of a cherished dream. A loved one's serious illness. Loss of a friendship. Happens often. Loss of safety after a trauma. And selling the family home. Okay. So even if you haven't been through any of these, you also know people who have been through these things, right? Breakups. And I'm going to say loss, not losing a job, but losing your kind of education, the face-to-face, that life you had last semester. That's a huge loss. And I understand, how much painful that is, and how online education doesn't replace that, right? Even subtle losses in life can trigger a sense of grief. For example, you might grieve after moving away from home, graduating from college, or changing jobs. Okay, if you had to move back to your hometown, that could feel very like this, sadness, this grief. Whatever your loss, it's personal to you. So don't feel ashamed about how you feel, or believe that it's somehow only appropriate to grieve for certain things. Okay? And also don't compare, right? Somebody else's grief isn't like worse or better than yours. There's no comparing. If the person, animal, relationship, or situation was significant to you, it's normal to grieve the loss you're experiencing. Whatever the cause of your grief, though, there are healthy ways to cope with the pain that in time can ease your sadness and help you come to terms with your loss, finding new meaning, and eventually moving on with your life. I'm going to change that. I want you to think about the word moving forward, okay? You don't just leave it behind. It's kind of always a part of you. You move forward with your loss, and hopefully you learn a lesson from it. You become a stronger person, but you never can ever forget that loss, right? You'll never forget like 2020. You'll never forget 2023 from now on. And you'll never forget the year or the time that somebody you loved is lost to you. The grief of losing a loved one. Whether it's a close friend, spouse, partner, parent, child, or other relative, few things are as painful as losing someone you love. After such a significant loss, life may never seem quite the same again, but in time you can ease your sorrow, start to look to the future, and eventually come to terms with your loss. Okay? So accepting it. The grieving process. Okay? Grieving is a highly individual experience. There's no right or wrong way to grieve. How you grieve depends on many factors, including your personality and your coping style, your life experience, your faith, religion, spirituality, and how significant the loss was to you, okay, how important it was. Inevitably, okay, eventually, always, the grieving process takes time. Healing happens gradually. It can't be forced or hurried. Okay, you can't rush this. And there's no normal timetable for grieving. Some people start to feel better in a week or months. For others, the grieving process is measured in years. What's your grief experience? Whatever your grief experience, it's important to be patient with yourself and allow the process to naturally unfold. Okay, so you can't rush these things. I'm going to share my experience with grief, with loss. After the pandemic and I came back to America, I came back to Adana, and then I was finishing the last school year online. And I was there, I was enjoying the summer, and then my father had a heart attack, and he survived, and my family told me to stay. There was complications after he got out of the hospital, so he ended up having a stroke, and he passed away, and I was in Turkey at the time, and I decided to move back to America. So this was still during the pandemic. And yeah, it was really difficult. It was a difficult time. I was grieving, the loss of my father, right? I was also grieving for the loss of my life, of living abroad, of teaching, in another country. There was just a lot of loss happening. And it wasn't just one thing. It was also grieving for my family and what they were losing, for my sister, my mother, my brother. And yeah, it was interesting how it happened. I mean, for me, there were times where I was crying, I was talking to friends, and then I would tell a story about my father, and I would start laughing. And we would all laugh together about something funny that my father used to say or do. And it's normal, It's not just being sad and not talking. It can be anger, You get angry at people. It could be sadness. It could also be some kind of humor. You can find joy in the moments. And I think that's probably the most important part, is figuring out ways to share. Arda, do you have something to say? Sorry, your microphone. Yeah, so there's no timetable for this. For me, I kind of accepted. I was able to cope with it. I helped my family when I moved back to the United States. I helped him fix everything, clean out all of his things. He was a carpenter, so he had a lot of tools and power machines, and so I was figuring out how to sell these things. And yeah, I think for my brother and my sister, it took a longer time. I think they're still, there's parts of them that are still not okay. They haven't accepted certain things. For me and my mother, I think we both are similar. We accepted it. We moved on from it. Yeah. And so, yeah, there's no right way to grieve. Are you, Arda? Are you okay? I can hear you. Arda Khan. Sorry, not Burak.
Yes, I'm okay.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm going to mute you. There you go. But if you want to talk, just ask anything. Put it in the chat box. Myths and facts about grief and grieving. The pain will go away faster if you ignore it. Fact. Trying to ignore your pain or keep it from surfacing will only make it worse in the long run. For real healing, it is necessary to face your grief and actively deal with it. Okay? So you can't ignore something. It's not going to go away. And my advice is always to tell stories. Part of it is keeping your person or your thing alive, like talking about, if you had to leave university as you did because of the earthquake, talking about your old memories, talking about what you miss is actually a good thing. Talk to the right people though. Myth, it's important to be strong in face of loss. Okay. It's like a very macho, this is like a Turkish man thing. Feeling sad, frightened, or lonely is a normal reaction to loss. Crying doesn't mean you are weak. You don't need to protect your family or friends by putting on a brave front. Okay, showing your true feelings can help them and you. Okay, yeah. So totally think it's okay. It's okay for men to cry. It's okay for women to cry. Let people feel their emotions, right? And let yourself feel your own emotions. So yeah, after the earthquake, I was in Adana at the time, and I had experienced a really large earthquake in Japan in 2011, and it was a 9.0. We lost one of our friends, one of my friends, in the earthquake, actually in the tsunami. And I would always tell the story. And so when it happened again in Adana, I was crying. Then, I would talk about my experiences and I would laugh about certain things. I was still sleeping in bed. I was laughing about that I didn't wake up. And I didn't get up and run out the door. But yeah, just feeling an earthquake again reminded me of my experience 12 years ago in Japan when I was teaching there. So yeah, just be you, feel your feelings. And like I said again, do it in front of people you trust. Okay, certain people will tell you like, be a man or be strong, don't cry, it's not okay to cry. Don't talk to those people about it. Have them for other things, but find your person that you can talk to, that you can cry with, that you can be angry with, that they'll listen, they'll just be there for you. Myth, if you don't cry, it means you aren't sorry about the loss. No, some people just don't cry. Crying is a normal response to sadness, but it's not the only one. Those who don't cry may feel the pain just as deeply as others. They may simply have other ways of showing it or hiding it, right? And it depends on how you grew up. If you see your family, your mother and your father crying, you're going to be more expressive. If your family's all like tough and it's not okay to cry in your family, then don't do it in front of your family. Grieving should last about a year. Okay, no, there's no specific time frame for grieving. How long it takes differs from person to person, and also how much work you're doing about it. If you're seeing a therapist or talking to somebody, talking to an adult, an older person, a more experienced person, Moving on with your life means forgetting about your loss. Okay. Moving on means you've accepted your loss. Okay. I'm going to change that again to moving forward. But that's not the same as forgetting. You can move on with your life. You can move forward with your life and keep the memory of someone or something you lost as an important part of you. In fact, as we move through life, these memories can become more and more integral, important, like a part of you, integrated to defining the people we are. Okay? So yeah, my experience in Japan with the earthquake and volunteering afterwards has made me the person I am. I went to Ethiopia to teach as a volunteer because of that. My mission now is to help people who are in need. I do charity work. I raise money. I've raised, I don't know, I'm not going to tell you. I raised over $4,000 for the earthquake. I haven't decided what to do with the money yet. I'm going to wait until the rebuilding process starts. But that's something that I did because of these memories from Japan, because of my experiences and my ability to be able to raise money through my friends, family, and my network. All right. So yeah, how to deal with the grieving process. While grieving a loss is an inevitable part of life, there are ways to help cope with the pain. Come to terms with your grief, and eventually find a way to pick up the pieces and move on with your life. Acknowledge your pain. Acknowledge it. So talk about it. Face it. Accept that grief can trigger many different and unexpected emotions. Crying, laughing, all of those things. Anger, loneliness. Understand that your grieving process will be unique to you. Okay? And this is important. Okay, because oftentimes when somebody's lost something or grieving, people say, this is how I did it when my dad, a lot of people said that to me. They're like, I lost my father too. And they would talk about their father. And I was like, okay, please talk. So yeah, it's unique. So listen and you can share your experience if they ask. But I would recommend just waiting and just letting somebody talk or just be there for them. Seek out face-to-face support from people who care about you. Support yourself emotionally by taking care of yourself physically. This is very important. Recognize the difference between grief and depression. Okay. And we're gonna stop there because we're gonna skip the stages. I don't think they're so important sometimes. I'll just say them. So there's 5 stages of grief, and this doesn't happen in any order. Okay? It can go in different orders. You have denial. This can't be happening to me. Anger. Why is this happening? Who is to blame? You want to blame somebody. You always want to blame somebody when something happens. And often we blame ourselves. I could have done this better. I should have talked to them. I shouldn't have been angry with them. I shouldn't have argued. Bargaining, make this not happen, and I will return. And in return, I will do this. Often we do this in relationships when we break up with somebody. Depression, I'm too sad to do anything. And then acceptance, I'm at peace with what happened. Okay, and you can go through these multiple times. Okay, you can say I'm okay with this and be okay for a day, a week, a month, and then it'll hit you again. Okay, so these things keep happening in different orders. All right. Taking care of yourself as you grieve. Wait. Seeking support. Nope. Too much. Let's just look at the symptoms and we'll stop there. Emotional symptoms of grief, shock and disbelief. Right after a loss, it can be hard to accept what happened. You may feel numb, have trouble believing that the loss really happened, or even deny the truth. If a pet or someone you have loved has died, for example, you may keep expecting them to show up even though you know they're gone. So that happened in my family. We have a garage door that opens, and only my dad would use it. And so I have this special app that I can open the garage door from anywhere in the world. So I would open it, and my sister would be like, Dad's home. And we would laugh about that. But, there's this idea that whenever that sound happened, we would expect my dad to come home from work or to go to work or something. Sadness. Profound sadness is probably the most universally experienced symptom of grief. You may have feelings of emptiness, despair, that's another word for sadness, yearning, wanting them, or deep loneliness. You may also cry a lot or feel emotionally unstable. So even when you go outside and you're working, you might just feel this happen at any time. And it happens. And it happens to me. And it still happens to me. And it's okay, you know? I hear certain songs from Japan and I think about it. It triggers me, you know? And I stop and I reflect about it and I cry sometimes and then I say, okay, it's gone. It's past. Guilt. You may feel regret or feel guilty about things you did or didn't say or do. Okay? This is going to happen to everybody. This is what's probably happening to most of you now after this earthquake, right? Is that you feel guilty not being able to help or not being there, or just seeing, you know, that you have a house. You feel guilty about that, you know, and it's normal to have those feelings, but it's not helpful, right? You may also feel guilty about certain feelings, feeling relieved when a person died after a long time, okay? If somebody's like in the hospital for a long time and they're suffering, right? Difficult illness, for example. You may even feel guilty for not doing more to prevent your loss, even if it was completely out of your hands, okay? If you weren't there, if there was nothing that could help. Fear, a significant loss can trigger a host of worries and fears. If you lost your partner, your job, or your home, for example, you may feel anxious, helpless, or insecure about the future. You may even have panic attacks. The death of a loved one can trigger fears about your own mortality, about your life, of facing life without that person, or the responsibility you now face alone, okay? And this is something that's very normal if you were experienced, you know, a natural disaster. Anger. If the loss was nobody's fault, you may feel angry and resentful. If you lost a loved one, you may be angry with yourself, God, the doctors, or even the person who died for abandoning you. You may feel the need to blame someone for the injustice that was done to you. Okay? And this happens often, is we blame somebody. It's like a human thing. I didn't think that was going to take so long, but it did. So yeah, let's take our little 20-minute lunch break. We'll come back at 12:20, and we'll write a little paragraph to kind of talk about what we talked about right now. So yeah, take a break, 12:20, break time, 12:20. Come back to Egeders, and then here. I'm going to try to fix it. I'll just give up my lunch. Okay. Sorry, hope that wasn't too much. So stand up, breathe, do what you need to do to kind of let go of this. But I think it's important now and forever to talk about these things. So I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Recording stopped.
Press that button. And let's begin. Sad. Okay. So, what we read, it's a little heavy, I know. It's something that we all need to kind of deal with in our own way. So, as you're coming back, welcome. Thank you for joining me. Thanks for putting up with this. First week. Your teacher doesn't know what he's doing. You don't know what you're doing. The school doesn't know what they're doing. The government doesn't know what they're doing. The country doesn't know what it's doing. We'll figure it out. There's no right answer. Sorry about that. All right. Do you guys have the Teams Microsoft Office set up on your computers, your accounts? Do you guys know what you're supposed to do? Because I'm not supposed to use Zoom. Hold on, I'm talking to a teacher. So yes, Ege Durs, they just reset everything, so I think we'll be okay. But I need to ask you a question. There's an email. Do you guys know how to set up Microsoft Teams on your computers? Burger Street. Nope. We don't need Burger Street anymore. Audio sync is broken. Yes. No, teacher, I don't. Arda, I'm sorry. Might be a computer thing. Figure it out. Okay, let me find the email about Teams. Then I'll help you. Nope,
come from the newcomers. What did they need to know about? So was it healthcare? Was it parenting in the U.S.? Maybe it was sharing one of their holidays or sharing our holiday. You know, so it's a lot of just sharing of cultures and just supporting them in whatever they needed.
There are a few keywords that Sherry says here that strike me as being at the heart of what we do as educators. Community, advocate, sharing, support.
Yes. So much good can come from connecting with students on an individual level. And I love that Sherry highlights the importance of recognizing what your students need and then acting on it. For Sherry, this experience acted as an inspiration to found Glocally Connected.
And then in 2015, I co-founded Glocally Connected with a dear friend, Dr. Celine Nielsen-Yildiz. We had both actually left where we currently live, which is Riverside, California. I was in Albuquerque, New Mexico. She was in Eastern Turkey. She was teaching at a university there, and this was in 2012. When there were a lot of Syrians fleeing the country,
you go to your email.
and where she was in Gaziantep, they had set up
And
a
then
very
you
large
go to your
refugee
email.
camp.
Then you
I
write
moved
a
back
new
to Riverside
message,
a week after
and then you
Celine
write
moved
an
back
email
here.
to
And then what
Office
started everything was there was that
365,
photo
blah, blah,
of that
blah,
drowned
address.
boy, that Syrian boy, and there was the army guy who was
talking?
leaning down to pick him up, and we just
Oh,
thought,
you know
okay, we
what?
need to do something. So we
I
started
got it.
Glocally Connected that fall, 2016. I started an
sound
English
better?
class for Afghan women. And the class just grew. It was mostly
Cheap
word of
servers.
mouth. And I'll just say the one reason we started this English class is that there were adult schools here, and I always
yes, they
support people to go to
do.
the adult schools because they're full-time programs.
fine.
But
We'll get it.
in the adult program
Someday.
here, you need to have some
You
basic
know,
English.
we could
and
just
they
use
didn't have
Microsoft
childcare
Teams
and
forever.
public
What do you
transportation.
guys
It's terrible
think?
here. So we provide transportation,
And then it
childcare,
records, and you can see
and
the
we
recording.
accept learners of
I
all
do
levels.
like Ege Durs
And
because
so I
it's
started working
there.
with these women.
It tells me
They
how
were
many
very
times.
cautious in the beginning around me, what was this
Stop.
about, and why
Why
was
are
I
you
doing
talking
this?
to me?
But eventually, they opened up, and then, I started
This lady
hearing their stories. So that was one thing. So of course, you hear their stories. They're coming from Afghanistan. They've gone through the resettlement process.
Do you guys hear that? Somebody's talking.
Learners at all levels.
Is it voices in my head? Okay. So go to your email and Ege Durs, Kimlik, type in your thing, make the subject Office 365, put this in the message, Office, and then press blah, 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 okay? And then you'll get you get the Microsoft Word online, you get the PowerPoint, you get the thing, you get the Outlook, you get the Teams, okay? And then someday we could use Teams instead of Ege Durs, because Teams has an app that you can use on your Android smartphone devices, and it just feels a little better. What do you think? I'm going to make a poll. I'm just talking to myself.
I'm okay with this.
I want to use Atesh. Anything? True or false? I want to use Microsoft Teams. Yes, true. Okay, so you got to go do this. And then I can save the video, and then somebody can watch it. I don't have to upload the video every day. I don't like Teams, but it's probably better than Egeders. I don't mind Egeders. I love the video they make. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie, guys. You made it. Let's do it. And then you sign up for Google Teams and you sign in to Google. And then it looks like this. And then you can use the app on your computer. I don't know how to do anything on this, so. Am I even? Yep, there I am. Egedars. Got a code to join? Enter it above. Do I have a team? No. Can I make a team? No. Okay, so everybody, you want teams. That can be arranged. Let's figure it out for next week. We'll make maybe I'll make a meeting on Saturday or Sunday if you guys just want to say hello. Has anybody ever used Gather Town before? Gather. It's pretty cool. Since you guys are all like away from each other, this is like a really cool way to like hang out online. I'm just gonna show you it, okay? Because I want you, maybe we'll do this for not a class. The problem is for the free account, there's only 10 people that can come at a time. But this is what it is. You walk around, you walk to somebody, and you can say hello to them. And the camera and the microphone can turn on. It's kind of cool. Wait, I gotta go back to the poll, press publish. Okay, so everybody says yes. I didn't download this app. They give you VPN for lecture. They use cheap servers. I didn't download this app. Which app? Egedar? You can't add. There's no app. But you have to download Microsoft Teams someday. We won't use it right now. Is it okay? Can you hear me? Someday we'll use this thing just for fun, so you guys can say hello to each other. You can walk, you can go to like little private booths. Only 4 people can listen to each other here. So you're like, private area. Nice. You can go sit on the little table, talk to your friend, your boyfriend, your girlfriend. Nobody can hear you. You can run away if you don't like somebody. You just run to the next room. You know, there I am with my ponytail. You just hide in the corner and cry by yourself. It's great. So we'll maybe do that. Just for fun, not for class. Okay. Let's go back to work. Okay, so sign up for this Ege thing to get your Microsoft Teams on. And once you get your Microsoft Teams, you can get on the Microsoft Teams. And then I have to make a Microsoft Teams. I don't know how to. But we won't do it today. Let's do it next week. Next week? Someone's typing? Keep typing. Don't give up. Okay, let's come back to this. Let's do a Google Docs. We're going to write together. I'm going to invite you to a Google Docs so we can do some work. And you don't have to type anything, but I would like you to see the process. Okay. Let's call this Gamma Writing. Week 1, paragraph. I'm going to share. Anytime you share on Google Docs, okay, this is the default. This is the normal, the regular. Change that to anyone with the link, okay? and change this to viewer or editor or commenter. I'm gonna make you guys all the editors. You can destroy my work. And if you're on a smartphone device, you can still do this. You can still hear me. That's fine. You might not be able to type unless you have the app itself. You have to download the Googly Docs app. And then there's one student. Yeah, look at that. Anonymous Nyan Cat. There's a bat. Ooh, that's a cool one, though. Okay. Okay. Whenever we write an essay in my class, I want you to use Times New Roman. Okay. I'm going to show you how to do this later. And make the font 12. Okay. And then always use double spacing. Just the way I like to do things. I'm going to write this as my own essay. So Bob Wynn. Okay. What class am I in? Gamma 12. What else do I need? The date. What's the date today? Just yell it at me. Okay. This is my formatting. What I do is I click it over here, shift it to the right. And we're going to be talking about coping with grief and loss. Okay, so this is the title. And I normally put titles, I normally put titles in the middle. And then we can start writing. Okay, and the first thing you want to do when you write is either press space like 5 times. Okay, so you start here. Or you can press tab. Whoops. You can, oh no, don't do that. See, don't be in the center. And we start writing. So we need a topic sentence about this article we read. There's a lot that we read, right? So we can just focus on one of these points, these ideas. We can talk about the different types of loss that we can have, the grieving process. We can talk about these facts and myths. Might be more difficult. We can talk about the stages. We didn't really read it, but I think maybe we should focus on the symptoms of grief. Okay, so let's make a topic sentence for this paragraph. It's just going to be one paragraph by itself. There's no essay at this point. I just want to talk about writing the stuff. So you guys are in here. I'm going to do this thing where I do that, and I do that. Can I do that? Can I? Yeah, there we go. All right. I gotta, no. Let's make this smaller. Let's make this bigger. Yeah, Mr. Bob, you did it. Yeah. Okay. All right, so we got some students. There's 6 of you guys. Wow, look at that. You guys are in it. Okay. So we need a topic sentence. Okay, I'm just gonna write topic sentence, and we're gonna need some details, some supporting sentences. You know, then we're gonna need our concluding sentence. I'm just gonna write the whole thing out. Okay. And we're talking about the symptoms. Let's focus on the symptoms of grief. So can anybody give me an idea? Let's start with something. It doesn't have to be perfect. It could just be an idea, and we're going to build upon that idea. And we don't want to talk about all of these things, right? There's too many. So why don't we focus on a few of these things? Okay? So we can say something like, there are several, there are many symptoms to loss or to grief. Okay? But the ones that I think are important are, or that you should be aware of, or something. Atesh, what's up? You can turn on your mics. It's faster. I don't know if it's just me, but your voices keep cutting and I can't understand anything. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's use page 5. Now, can you hear me? La di da di da di da. What if I played music? Can you hear the guys hear me better now? And I gotta use H5. Too many things. I had like a recording studio at my house. Yeah, we'll see. Okay, I'm gonna keep talking. La-di-da-di-da. Zadria, what do you think? Does it sound okay? If you think it's okay, give me a thumbs up. If it's a thumbs down, do the thumbs down. Click on your little guy. Set the status. Is it a thumbs up or a thumbs down? Change that. Show me, show me, show me. We'll see. Is it better? I hope. I pray. It's the same. Okay, what if I stopped my video? Can you hear me better? My name is Bob. Testing 1, 2, 3. Today we're talking about coping with grief and loss. It's the same. Is it the same? Nobody knows. Maybe this Ege thing has cheap servers somewhere. Yeah, it's the same. Jeez. Okay. What do you want to do? Go back to Zoom? I don't know if I can use Teams. No, don't use TeamViewer. Just first week, you know? It's fine. Everything breaks. Everything gets fixed. Some things that don't get fixed, they get replaced. It's like evolution. Zadria's typing out in Buja. This is the beauty of online. You guys are everywhere. No? Can we? Do you want to switch? Again? Start a poll. Let's start a poll. Let me see who chatted. I can see very well, but your voices keep cutting. Okay, give me 1 second. I'm going to unplug and then replug. Let's do this. Bye. Not bye. Hello. I don't have a team, though. The problem is I don't have a team. It's always a problem. Okay, can you hear me now? Can I play music?
Only waiting.
Okay, that works with the music. Can you hear me? I think we need teaching teams after today. Yes, I have to figure out how to do this. Let's just hang out with Mr. Bob while he breaks and fixes things. Get a code. I don't know how to get a code. How do I get a team? Let's read this email from Sinem Hojam. Not you, Sinem. Let's try to read this email. Alright, in order to use them, first activate Office 365. These are published here. Nice. In case of access audio, use Find Teams. Count only in case where Eggedursh is not working. Do not forget to upload the records of the courses you have made over Teams to Eggedursh. I just don't have a class, guys. Can I just make a class? Maybe I'm not a real teacher yet. I think that's the problem. I'm the problem. It's me. Yoke. Just seeing what you guys are doing. I don't know. I don't got a code. I'm just trying to figure this out. Okay. Can I enter a code? Join a team with a code. No, I need the teams added. So still can't hear me. Audio. Why don't I change my mic again? Let's use my microphone. Can you hear me? I'm here. I'm screaming at the top of my lungs. You were always waiting for this moment to. Let's play music, and if it does it keep.
I think it's a network problem. You switched the microphones, yeah?
Yeah.
It's the same. You keep cutting and there's a popping sound when you talk.
Because I'm popping. Okay. Ah. Oh, look. We have stuff. Hold on. What's Moodle? Let's add Moodle. I need to add this. Access your Moodle courses. Yes. Type a team name or channel. The entire team, but start by setting up in a channel. Let's call it Gamma GM12. No records found. Jesus. What do I use the actual name? Nothing. Okay. Let's go back to Zoom. Okay? I'm gonna keep recording on here so other people can watch, and I'll have the audio so you guys can stay, turn off your headphones, just disconnect the audio. But I don't know how to set up Teams. I'm gonna ask somebody. I'll find out on Friday. But next week, next week, next week we will use Microsoft Teams. Okay, so back to Zoom. Let's zoom it up. Zoom it up. Zoom it up. You guys are fast, some of you. So you're gonna have two audios unless you disconnect the sound. Leave Ege Darsh on, just so that they know that you're studying, so nobody says, Mr. Bob, you don't have any students. What's wrong with you? But yeah, first week, it's okay. Yesterday was worse for me. At least you guys communicate. Delta. Just don't know how to talk. It's true. Click Moodle.
What happened yesterday?
Huh?
What happened yesterday?
Same thing. Like, I couldn't share my screen, but none of the students would say anything. So I was like, what should we do? And it was just crickets. Where's the crickets? It was just chirp.
Most of them don't want to and don't know to talk.
I don't know. So when I had just one student on Zoom, she started talking to me. They know how to talk. They're just more shy. I don't know. There's something Delta is scared of everything.
Maybe.
I think they're, the reason I think you guys are Gamma isn't just because you guys are smarter. It's because you're more confident, no? This is the thing about learning a language. And even just like taking risk, right? Okay.
Actually, exam was very easy. That class, I don't know what's the word, but
Which class?
the exam where we
To get into
attend
the levels?
to choose the yeah.
Okay.
That was very easy, and I just wanted to stay for fun.
I know. You guys just want to have another full. I think it's better. I think off cycle students, the ones that start in spring, it's terrible for those students. Who's the handsome man in my screen? Not me. Must be somebody else. I'm just an average teacher, guys. I don't know, it's an interesting thing. Maybe most of you guys are here just because you wanted a gap year. We call it the gap year, where you finished high school, you had a hard year, you studied so hard. Yeah, take a nice year to learn, to like grow, to become cool adult human beings. But don't waste this time. It's very precious. You'll never have it again.
It's good for practice. Practice
Yeah.
talking.
Yeah, but talking, but also not just in school, learn something, find a new sport. This will be the freest time you'll ever have in your life. So don't waste this time just by watching Netflix. This is my life advice for all of y'all, all of you. And yeah, practice speaking with me. Just turn on your mics.
Teacher.
Arda.
Please mute microphone from Egedars.
Dang it. Wait, no. You turn off your
Ege
audio.
dersten çık.
Yeah.
Oradaki hoparlör tuşuna tıkla, çık
Just-
oradan.
Yeah, unconnect the audio. Leave audio. Would that work?
Arda sen sesi kapatabilirsin aslında orada.
Yeah, because I want to record it so that other people can still
Ama aşağıda kapatma varmış,
see me.
ben görmedim onu.
Yeah,
Hoca
sorry.
ben de yarım saattir bağırıyorum, benim mikrofon kapalıymış.
Yeah, just turn off your microphone on that one. Disconnect it. Right? That's what you said.
Okay, thank you. No problem now.
Yeah. Because I want to record it so that other students can hear what I'm talking about if they need to watch this ridiculous video of blah, everything is broken. Is that what they're going to hear? They're probably going to hear that, though. That's awful. And I don't know how. I would love to just I can upload my videos because I'm recording right now. I'm always recording. So anytime you're talking to me, I'm recording you guys. Okay. Back to work. Or not. Okay. Let's write an essay, and then I'm going to just give you for homework, look through chapter 4. Okay? So coping with grief. We're not going to write an essay. We're going to write a paragraph. And let's brainstorm a little. Let's talk about symptoms of grief. Okay? Let's brainstorm some more. Let's do this online.
Filmin kodunu atmadım hala.
Still doesn't work? Let's brainstorm. This is called Miro. Eventually, I hope you guys all download this app. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. Hey, Bob. You're Bob. Here we go. So, whenever I write, I like to brainstorm first before I write. Right? I always like to kind of think about what am I writing about. So we're talking about grief. That's way too small for you guys. Grief and loss. Right, this is the main thing we're talking about. The article is called what? It's called... Put the article right there. Coping with grief and loss. Okay? And so what I like to do whenever I start writing is kind of think about the options we have. Okay? So one of the things was about the stages of grief, but we're not going to write about that. But that can be an option, right? So that's one possibility. What's another possibility? The one we're going to talk about, symptoms. You know what? Let me make this half size. I'm a nerd. So whenever I start writing, I like to kind of start to think about how I'm going to write. Because if you just jump right in, you're going to make mistakes. It's harder to fix a mistake than it is to just write it well. And writing well requires that you think about it, that you think about the process, and that you just get organized, right? So what are the symptoms? Write it in the chat box or yell it at me. I'm gonna make this big. I'm gonna use the post-it notes. What are some of these symptoms?
Anger, sadness,
Anger, good. Sadness. What else? I'm just your note taker. Guilt, right? We got shock. Okay, when you're in shock, you just can't think straight. You actually don't listen, like you can't hear or feel things. Fear is one of these things. Okay, a lot of that fear that we're feeling at the moment. Anger. Okay, so these are emotional, right? So let's put these together. We'll call these the emotional side. Okay, let's do another color for physical. What are the physical ones? I don't think I read it to you guys. But there's fatigue. Fatigue is another word for feeling tired. It's like stronger. It's a stronger word than tired. And it's kind of a long-term tiredness. Okay, so if you're fatigued, you might have felt this if you had COVID, just feeling like low energy all day long, lowered immunity. So your immune system gets weak, right? People often get sick when they're like depressed or feeling grief, weight loss, or weight gain. Okay. Some people stress eat. I don't know if you're that person. I'm the opposite. I stress uneat. Aches and pains. So this is the weird thing, right? It's an emotional thing that's happening to you, but your body feels the physical pains. And it's the connection between the mind and the body. I think this one is probably the most critical one, is insomnia. Okay. So we're talking about the symptoms of grief. And on one side, we have the emotional. That is so small. I can fix it. Okay, and then we have the physical. That is not right. Let's put it up here. So what do you want to talk about in this paper? We can maybe put some notes later if we wanted to, right? We could add more information. But we have symptoms of grief, the emotional symptoms of grief. We have the physical symptoms of grief. And if you're working on your computer, you can be doing these things as well. I'm going to move over now. Since we have some information here, we can use our notes now to write this. So what do you guys think? What should this be about? Just the emotional or the physical? There's not a lot of information about the physical, though. It just gives us, it just says that. That's it. So yeah, let's focus on the emotional. Okay. The emotional symptoms of grief. Let's call this just our topic. Okay, and remember we had this thing called the controlling idea. What about the emotional symptoms of grief? Are they something? Are they difficult? Are they serious? Okay, let's read it again. While loss affects people in different ways, many of us experience the following symptoms when we're grieving. Just remember that almost anything that you experience in the early stages of grief is normal, including feeling like you're going crazy, feeling like you're in a bad dream, or questioning your religious or spiritual beliefs. I didn't read that to you. So what do you want to do, say? how do we want to organize this? Let's say that we just choose this side. So I'm just gonna move this over here. Let's move this to the top. Nice. Okay, so we're gonna focus on these 5 things. Maybe we can just only talk about a few things. So we can start with something like the emotional symptoms of grief are blah, 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 because of. We can do any sort of topic statement. Okay, and we're going to need some supporting sentences. And we might want to just describe. Let's just choose 3 out of these 5. Okay, so which ones do you want to talk about more than the other ones? Which ones do you think are maybe important to you and maybe how you're feeling? I for sure want to talk about guilt. So let's just copy this over here so I have some, whoops. So I have some information about grief. I know, it's small, guys, but. What else? Type it in the chat box. There are many symptoms of grief. And then we can say, but the ones that are most important to blah, blah, blah. I think guilt, though. I always think about this. I call it survivor's guilt. Anybody, think about it. Which one? Fear, anger, sadness, shock, disbelief?
Sadness.
Okay, let's put sadness in there. So I'm gonna... Good, thank you. Let's put that back in over here. Okay, so sadness, profound sadness is probably the most universally experienced. Okay, symptom of grief. You may feel feelings of emptiness, despair, yearning. Yearning is another word for want, or deep loneliness. You may also cry a lot or feel emotionally unstable. And last one, somebody else. Be brave. Just turn on your mic, scream something at me, or write it in the chat box. Ophelia, which one do you think? Anger, fear. I mean, they're all important. And let's choose fear, because I think that that's really relevant to what's happening right now with people.
I think the most experienced ones are guilt, sadness, and shock.
Shock.
To me, I experienced them
Okay.
hardly.
Right after loss, it can be hard to accept what happened. Yeah. Okay. I think if you're living in that area or you experienced it like firsthand, I would say fear is probably important. But let's talk from this perspective since nobody else has said anything, and let's go with that. Okay. So we can reread these just to kind of give ourselves better ideas, right? Let me zoom in on this so we can see it better. But these are the 3 things out of 5. Out of physical and emotional, we're just choosing 3 emotional. And yeah, let's make it focus towards this thing that happened in Turkey, right? About the earthquake. I don't want to talk about the earthquake so much anymore, but you know, how we can help people, how you can help yourself. So guilt. You may regret or feel guilty about things you did or didn't say or do. You may also feel guilty about certain feelings. Feeling relieved when a person died after a long, difficult illness, for example. You may even feel guilty for not doing more to prevent your loss, even if it was completely out of your hands, okay? And I think you can also feel guilt. This is just my note. You can, feel guilt for being happy and enjoying yourself, right? And I think this is what's been happening a lot in Turkey. I think it's normal. I think it's like, you know, there was this time of mourning in Turkey. for 2 weeks or so, and probably still longer now. So this process of like, you know, people have died. It's true. There's a lot of loss of suffering. But you know, is it okay to tell somebody like, hey, don't be happy? No, I don't think so. Is it okay to not let people do the things that make them happy, whether it's doing sports or going to the movies? You know, is it okay to be like everybody to always be sad? Does it help, you think? I don't think so. You know? And I'll talk more about that. Sadness. Profound sadness is probably the most universally experienced symptom of grief. You may have feelings of emptiness, despair, yearning, or deep loneliness. You may also cry a lot or feel emotionally unstable. Okay? So, you know, this is probably the worst time to be in a friendship or a relationship. You just aren't really stable. There's things that are stressing you out. You might act like strange to people. You might overreact or underreact. Okay, those two things are the same, right? I mean, they're both bad. Like somebody says something, you're just like, and people say, why aren't you, like, shouldn't you be happy? Like, so overreacting and underreacting kind of are these feelings that happen. Shock and disbelief. Right after a loss, it can be hard to accept what happened. You may feel numb, have trouble believing that the loss really happened, or even deny the truth. If a pet or someone you love has died, for example, you may keep expecting them to show up even though you know they're gone. Okay, so we reread this, we looked at this, we kind of get a better feeling for this right now. We organized our thoughts, and now we can start writing. Let's try to write something. Okay, so the emotional symptoms of grief. Okay. Let's say R. Can anybody try to make a sentence or have an idea, this controlling idea that we can use? Okay, so maybe I'll just throw out some, you know, R. The emotional symptoms of grief are severe. I don't know, serious. Let's just throw out some words. Can affect people in different ways. We can always look back at our example from our writing. While loss affects many in different ways, many of us experience the following symptoms when we're grieving. Okay, so we can say something like that. You know, the emotional symptoms of grief can be different. It can affect in different ways. Oh wait, what else? Just remember that almost anything you experience in the early stages of grief is normal. I don't know, something about normal. Questioning? I don't know. You could say something like, you know, there are these 5, not normal, I guess, but 5 types of emotions that we experience when we grieve. And these 3 are important to me. Something like that, right? Yeah, and for the supporting sentences, we said that we're going to use, we're going to talk about shock and disbelief. You guys can come and type as well. Don't be scared. You can add below. You just keep adding stuff. I don't care. You can't break it. Whoops, that's not concluding. Sadness, guilt, not built. Okay, and our concluding sentence is going to do something like summarize the paragraph, like restate, or restate the thesis statement or the topic sentence, or move on to the next paragraph. And maybe the next thing we want to talk about are, you know, the next part, the types of griefs and things like that. Okay, so right now we're brainstorming. We have these ideas for our paragraph. You know, in your head you can do this when you start getting better, but I do recommend getting a piece of paper out in, you know, doing bubbles and circles and squares and all of that stuff, so you can start to see, take parts of the article you're reading, you know, highlight which you think are important. But yeah, we're going to focus on this and this. And we're going to take these and put them here for fun. Okay, and these are all the emotional symptoms. Okay. And kind of this way we can look at things visually. I'm a very visual person. I don't know if you can tell, but I like to see my ideas. I like to write them down. I like to write them on notes. I like to write words and just throw them somewhere and see where they land. It's like the tea leaves, like the coffee grounds and the Turkish coffee. I like it to show me how to find the path, the way to my future. Yeah. All right. So what do we got? We got shock. We got disbelief. I'm going to start writing. Okay. Let's start from the top. This will be our notes. Okay. I'm going to always do my tab. I want an indent at the beginning of the paragraph. Why? Because it helps you visually. When you're looking at an essay, you know where each paragraph starts. If it's all kind of stuck together, you really don't know when the next paragraph starts and ends. So we're always going to use what we call the indent. Okay? So that space from here to here-ish is called the indent. Okay? Then you start writing here for each paragraph. And some of you know this, some of you don't. Okay, I'm just gonna keep reminding you. We're gonna do lots of practice in class. And yeah. All right. So, what did I say? There are many common symptoms. Let's say emotional. Common emotional symptoms of grief. Let's make it big again so you guys can see. No. There are many common emotional symptoms of grief. Common. So we're talking that they're common, that people experience these things. But most relevant, most important during this time are, and we're going to list. Okay, so we're kind of giving a list of these things. This can also kind of be like how your topic sentences, your introductions start. Sometimes you want to list. Sometimes you just say there are 3, right? During this time are, but the most grief, but the ones that are most relevant during this time, we can do it like that. We can do it like, I'm just brainstorming. Are, what do we say? Sadness, guilt, and shock. Let's just call it shock. Okay, so we don't have to like say shock and disbelief. The other thing you could do, you know, there are many common emotional symptoms of grief, but 3, let's say, but 3 are the most relevant to during this time. Okay, and this way you don't actually have to write those things out. You can do it like that, right? One of the examples from our other thing was there are several factors, or there are several reasons. That's also okay. This one's nice if you want to give them, your reader, like more information. Now they know that the next sentence is going to be about sadness. The one after that is about guilt. The other one is about shock. Okay. What do you guys want? 1 or 2? Whoops. Write it in the box. Make a survey. I'll make a survey. Ooh, there's so many surveys in here. 1 or 2? 1 question. Nope.
What's the second one? I missed that part.
Oh, the second one would be this. So this, oh, sorry. That's 2. I didn't write 2. You're right. Your teacher hasn't taught in 8 months. But the ones that are most, okay, so we can either say there are many common emotional symptoms of grief. Oh, I didn't launch it. I gotta launch it. Sorry. Boom. Launch the poll. There are many common emotional symptoms of grief, but the ones that are most relevant during this time are sadness, guilt, and shock. Or we can do there are many common emotional symptoms of grief, but 3 are the most relevant. We don't have to give all the details. We can, right? We don't have to write that long, but we can.
If you write 2, we can explain it step by step. Like first step is sadness, then guilt.
Yeah.
We can explain like that.
You can explain like that. I think that, there's different reasons. The first one you would do because you want to give your reader just more information, right? But yeah, 2 is totally okay. Is everybody voted? 3 out of 8. Come on. One more person. Vote. So far, number 1 is winning with 67%. And this is kind of how your brain will work, There's a part of your brain that says, oh, I don't know, number 1 looks good. Number 2 looks good. This is the democratic way. Hey, guys, come on. Press the poll button if you can see it. I'm not going to end the poll. Go. Wake up. Okay.
I think everyone fell asleep.
I know, lunch. It's okay. This is why I record videos. They can always come back. I'm going to go with 1 since 2 of you chose 1 out of 2. But, same thing. You just can do the same. It'll actually look the same. Okay. So let's choose this one. Let's put this away in our notes. Okay. And so now we need our supporting sentences. And these need to be facts, opinions, quotations, statistics, or anything like that. But the thing we're going to be focusing on are these 3 parts, right? So we're going to first start with sadness. And let's just describe them. That's what this paragraph's going to be about. So can you or somebody describe to me in the reading what was sadness about? Can I do that? I know, it seems boring, but it's not, guys. It's good information. Share results. No. All right. So we got, during this time, our sadness, guilt, and shock. Okay. So what are we going to say about sadness? It's probably the most experienced symptom. You may feelings of emptiness, yearning. We don't want to copy directly, but we can, kind of rewrite these things. Go ahead, Mr. Chipmunk. Type it away. Try it out. Nobody knows who you are. You're anonymous chipmunk, Use those capitalizations. Use your punctuations. Use proper space. Chipmunk, go. Whoever, you don't know who you are, I guess. Yeah. Anyways, let's talk about sadness. So sadness is the most common symptom and includes, I don't know, emptiness. That's a word we can still use. And change deep to extreme loneliness. Okay. And this is just one paragraph. You're not explaining the entire thing, right? You're just kind of giving people information. Your next paragraph could be about sadness. Your next paragraph could be about guilt. Next, we're going to talk about guilt. So I made a mistake here. What did it want? No, I didn't. I don't want to undo nothing. Oh, loneliness. No, I spelled it wrong. It fixed it for me. Okay, the next one is guilt. You may regret or feel guilty about things you didn't did or didn't say or do. You may also feel guilty about certain feelings, feeling relieved when someone dies. You may even feel guilty for not doing more to prevent your loss. Let's focus on this one, especially with this earthquake, for not doing more, right? You may experience grief. Does everyone have the link? Did I send it in here? I guess not. So you're just coming and you don't have the link? Well, get the link. You may experience guilt, about not being able to help, right? There's this like helplessness. And that helplessness is coming from guilt, right? You feel bad that you can't help. It's not helplessness itself. It's you want to do something, and you feel guilty that you can't do more. So that helplessness about not being able to help. You may experience guilt about not being able to help, or I don't know. For some people, just like being alive, being well, right? Some people experience this thing where it's like, when a lot of people are suffering, this is called survivor's guilt. You're like, I feel guilty that I'm alive. You may experience guilt about not being able to help, or like, I don't know, being well. Okay. And shock. What do we talk about? Shock. We can use like another thing. The last. We don't need that. Let's just say shock. Let's switch the order. Let's state what this is about, and then we'll say is shock. If someone has died, you may. Sadness is emotion. So we're using you, so let's stick with you. And this is kind of more like advice, right? When you hear something about medicine or psychology, it often is speaking directly to a person. That's what self-help is, right? Your audience is that person right in front of you. It makes it more personable when I say you versus people can do this, right? There's a reason why we use that second person you, and it's because we want to feel very personal. When you read this, you think, oh, they're talking to me, I'm having a conversation with this person, with this reading. You may experience guilt about not being able to help or being well or happy, being happy. You might be in disbelief that the loss occurred or happened. Let's change to shock, of course. Sorry. You might be in shock that the loss, let's say the tragedy or loss happened. Okay. And so, yeah, what do you think? We got a topic sentence. There are many common emotional symptoms of grief. That's our topic, common emotional symptoms of grief, right? There could be other crazy ones, but we're only talking about the common ones. And then we have a controlling idea, but the ones that are most relevant, okay, the most relevant during this time are sadness, guilt, and shock. And maybe we can say to us, right? We don't want to talk for anybody else. Sadness. Okay, we're starting with our supporting sentence now. Sadness is the most common symptom. It includes emptiness and extreme loneliness, right? Just feeling just not 100%, not being there. You may experience guilt about not being able to help or being happy even. You might be in shock that the tragedy or loss happened. Okay? And now we need a concluding sentence, okay? And we can either do this by summarizing what we said, which I don't think is a good idea here, or we can restate the topic sentence in different ways, okay? And I'm going to choose the restate the topic because we're just going to rewrite this in a different way. So there are many common emotional symptoms of grief. What are some other words that we know that are the same as common? Common. What does the word common mean? And we don't have to mention them again, sadness, guilt, and shock. We can say these emotional symptoms can be experienced by many people, maybe by you, if you encountered, if you faced grief. All right, what do you think? This is just one paragraph. It could be an introduction as well. I'll put it in the chat if you guys want to read it there. Copy it. Thumbs up on this. Looks good. This can recognize hand gestures? Oh my God. Look at that. That's amazing. Lower hand. I don't know if you see this, but it's magic. Okay, sorry.
Like the gesture has improved.
It has improved. Everything's improving. I gotta press my button. Okay. What do you think? It's good? Okay. Everybody else thinks it's good. Great. So this will be our working document. This is an example of how you can brainstorm. These were some of those other controlling ideas that we had. And we have to come up with a topic, right? And it has to be, what did I say? The topic has to be, this one is too general, right? But we added something extra. We added there are many common emotional symptoms of grief, right? We're not just talking about grief. We're not talking about just any symptoms, not physical. We're talking about emotional. So now we're kind of going from this, to kind of this. But we're not going to like too small, right? We have one little focus. That's our unity. That's our one main idea. And we're going to list those. Did I list anything else? Did I list about pain in my stomach? No. Did I talk about not being able to sleep? No. I talked about those things. I focused on those things. I didn't use any linking words we could use, I can also say something you may, in addition to, but then again, I don't want to use it too much. It just, don't overdo anything. In addition, whoops. So we have a linking word here. We go back, we read it, we say, we can add something. If I wanted to be like obnoxious, I could put finally, you might be in shock that the tragedy or loss happened. I don't think those are necessary. If you write well, you don't need that many linking things. If you use good, conjunctions, because, all of those things, but, you don't need so much. I think it's, when you're trying to add things, trying to make it longer. And then the concluding sentence, these emotional symptoms can be experienced by you if you've ever faced grief. If you have ever faced grief. If you have ever, is it an experience that you had, right? Again, I use the same pronouns, and I think this one's actually important to use you. That's my audience. I'm talking directly to you. That's how self-help sounds. That's how psychology websites, when you're looking at doctor stuff, you might feel hungry. You might look like this. You might be suffering from blah, 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 right? That's important to have that. So yeah, we have unity. We have coherence. I mentioned grief. Let's underline. Here's grief. I mentioned mentioned it again, only twice. Maybe we can add it. Because it's good to, you know, in addition, you may experience guilt about not being able to help or being happy with grief. I don't think it's important. This one's a short little paragraph. Okay. So yeah, we had these different controlling ideas, and let me make sure that I write those out again so you can see. Oops. So we had this one, or number 1. That's the one we chose. Forgot the period. All right, indent to start writing here. This is our topics. These were our controlling ideas. Let me just redo that. So yeah, we can like brainstorm here while we're writing and talking. And it helps you write your paper. Okay. Do you have to do this every time? Yes. No. You do when you first start writing. Okay. When you're not a good writer. And even when you are a really good writer and you're writing something very complicated, okay, you need kind of a structure. You need an idea. You need to kind of, you know, brainstorm it out so that you start with the big thing, coping with grief and loss. And you can figure out if you want to talk about this topic or this topic. You can read your article a couple times to figure that out, you know, and then within this, even there's different categories, right? So this was emotional symptoms, and these were physical symptoms. And we decided to go with emotional symptoms, which led us to here, okay? And we chose these 3 emotional symptoms, and not any 3, but those 3. Boom. I love this program, guys. Okay, so that's enough. You're probably all bored. Okay. I'm going to end class early. You guys had a hard day. If you have any questions about any of these things, paragraph writing is probably a more important skill for you right now than essay writing. Just because if you can write good paragraphs, then it means that you can actually write really good essays. If you can't write a good paragraph and you try to write an essay, you got to go back a step. Okay, so if you guys need more help with paragraph writing, I mean, we're going to practice paragraphs anyways, and working on individual ones, introductions, the body paragraphs, the conclusions, things like that. And I guess before I let you go, let's just say the computer broke and I'm going to let you go home, sleep early. Where's the thing? I want you just to go through chapter 4 for not homework, but for your work. Go through what an essay is. We're going to be talking about this next week. But yeah, parts of an essay, just be familiar with them. We'll talk about it. This book is okay. I have my own presentations, I think, that are better. But read these. Try to read as much as you can this weekend in reading class. Read about Steve Jobs. And go through these things. And try to answer these questions. All of chapter 4 if you can. This is the book. I just put it on a Miro board. Slow. Okay. Any questions? Any answers? No. Okay, I recorded it over there. Perfect. Okay. I think that's enough from me for one day. And I'm going to make a video for this stuff, and I'll talk about it. And watch all the videos. Watch all the recordings, rewatch them. If you ever need to remember something, figure out which video you need to watch. But yeah, this is what I want to do for you guys, is make little screen recording YouTube-y things where I'm like, hey guys, just go here. This is an essay. And I'll re-record the PowerPoint and I'll put it on YouTube so I can share it on Google Classroom. Okay. Or I'll try to put it on Egeders so that you get credit. And if you come to my class, I try to give you credit for the entire day. I realize that the internet is bad. It's bad in Turkey in general. And Egeders is bad and it's broken. But it's not bad. I mean, it's not. It's usable. All right. Any questions before I let you go? Hope you had a good day. Sorry about everything. Okay. Bye.
Goodbye. See you.
See
Bye.
you.
See you later.
All right. Bye. And the meeting. Ending the meeting. Goodbye. Yeah, it's 80 minutes.
Goodbye, teacher.
Goodbye. Thank you. Good participation today.